Well, it's time for another video, boys and girls. The subject this morning, just sort of watching, I'm reading some news about Toyota. Oh, I'm in a Honda car right now, but I do own a Toyota. You know, Toyota, to me, looks like they are really doing a lot of R&D. And, you know, you watch the news, and this is not a political video, okay, but you watch the news and you listen to some of these politicians and whatever, and they're talking about these electric cars. Well, my honest opinion is they've missed the boat. And Toyota, it seems, based on some news accounts I'm reading as a current, are looking at hybrids, which means that they are electric and they are combustible engine, you know, combined. Everybody old enough, can you remember back in 1975 what happened? We went to this unleaded fuel. What was that supposed to do? It was supposed to what? Decrease emissions. They took the lead out of gasoline, or reduced the lead, I guess. Well, I don't even know what the overall effects of that was, okay? And then, of course, you know, you've got California emissions on cars, which are more robust, I guess, than cars sold in other states. Well, I think the hybrid is actually the way to go. I'm going to bring up a few things here, and I don't hear this talked about by the so-called experts. Okay, we look at metropolitan cities. That's where the most cars are. Common sense. They're grouped tighter. Traffic, you got the red lights and you got the stop signs. A hybrid car at a stop sign or backed up in traffic, the engine is probably what? Not running, unless I guess the battery's low. So you have no emissions. So if we look at rush hour, if we looked at an average day and took the 12 biggest cities of the United States, and we just looked at emissions reductions in the 12 biggest cities of this country, on a day-to-day basis, using hybrids versus combustible engines, what would be the reduction of emissions? It should be a great deal, because, like I said, all the cars at red lights, stopped in traffic, are not emitting. Now, here's something here I find fascinating, and we got to sort of see we got to see this in Florida with this hurricane. Some of these cars, electric cars, went underwater and they become basically ticking time bombs. Well, I've not heard this addressed by any person with a higher education or in the know with these lithium batteries. And, you know, I guess maybe there's some other materials that electric cars could be made to run on. Okay, well, what about, we had an incident in Pennsylvania here a year or two ago. We had cars all over the road up there with a snowstorm. So here's a test question for the pros. Electric car. Well, you could freeze to death in a situation like that, right? Well, how long is a heater going to work on one of these electric cars to keep a person from freezing to death? And number two, that car, if it has a depleted battery and it is all electric on a highway, well, it can't be charged in a jiffy and be removed. A combustion engine, I can pour 5 gallons of gas in the tank and move it and get it out of the way. And here's something else that I think should be addressed. And again, I don't hear this from the pros. If you go to Nashville, Tennessee, you go to a hospital, Vanderbilt University Medical Center. It's a real hospital, boys and girls, okay? It has under the hospital parking, multi-layer. So if these people get their way, I guess, with these electric cars, now these lithium batteries, once they get on fire, boys, they're hard to put out, okay? And if you have a parking garage full of cars with lithium batteries and pickup trucks, and an underground parking garage under a major infrastructure, even a overpass to a freeway, and you get a fire started in like a parking garage, well, you've got to put this thing out because this fire could get to be horrendous. So again, there's another, something I would like to hear talked about, okay? We don't hear of a lot of, you could have a fire on any car. Although even a combustible engine, you can have a short circuit to cause a fire. But if the fire never reaches the gas tank, it's not going to get very big. And a gas tank fire is going to be far, far less, from all accounts I'm reading, than a lithium battery fire. So the hybrid, though, may be the way to go. Instead of jump straight from internal combustion all the way to all electric, maybe we should go to the hybrid. Because in natural disaster situations, electrical power can be, availability can be very limited. Well, what are you going to do in a metropolitan area full of electric cars and you have a twister come through or a major hurricane, and let's say the lights are knocked out for 3 weeks? People have to get to the shelters. People have to go get supplies. Well, how are they going to charge their cars? And these charging stations are going to be powered by the same electrical grid, so that's not the answer either. So I guess what I'm saying, I would like to hear, this talked about more from a reasonable, real life, looking at the extreme situation, okay? Instead of this garbage that I keep hearing, just this generic talk, generalizations. We already see what the National Guard uses to go into these areas to rescue people. They're using combustible engines. Are we going to give them electric vehicles as well? And if so, how are they going to charge them? So anyway, that's sort of my little rant for today, okay? I hope you enjoyed.